A sealed letter, slipped quietly across a marble table in the dead of night. No cameras, no witnesses, no record in the Vatican logs. A name, whispered in the hollow silence of the Sistine Chapel, where only God and the ghosts of popes hear such things. That name? Cardinal Louis Tagle, a man the world adores, a man millions believed would be the next pope, a man of the poor, the gentle, the simple, a smiling face that gave hope to the forgotten corners of the church. But something has happened. Something strange, unexpected. Pope Leo XIV, the most mysterious pope the church has seen in 100 years, has made a move that no one, not even the cardinals, saw coming. He has given Cardinal Tagle a new role, not a promotion, not a punishment, something far more unsettling. What is this new mission they whispered behind the bronze doors? Why was there no grand announcement? No applause from the faithful? No triumphant ceremony on St. Peter's Square? Why? Only silence? Why only shadows? And what does this mean for the future of Catholicism? Is Tagle being hidden away, buried, silenced? Or is he being prepared for something that could split the church wide open? My friend, you are about to hear truths that most Catholics will never know. You are about to see what lies behind the veil, behind the public smiles, the golden vestments, the perfect pictures on Vatican News. Stay with me, because what I reveal in this video will change forever how you see the Vatican, how you see the Pope, and maybe even how you see your faith itself. This is not gossip, this is not theory, this is the unfolding of something that could alter the church itself. A quiet war behind the walls of the Apostolic Palace, a secret mission assigned to a man the world thought they knew, Cardinal Louis Tagle. Why him? Why now? And why, in the deepest, most hidden corridors of power, did Pope Leo XIV choose him, and no one else? Breathe, my friend, because you are about to walk where only a few ever dare, into the dark, quiet heart of Vatican politics, where nothing is what it seems. So before we go deeper, type "secret" in the comments below if you believe the church hides far more than it shows. And make sure you subscribe, because truth, real, unfiltered, unsettling truth, is coming, and you deserve to know it. Louis Tagle isn't just a cardinal, no. He is something far more than that. To millions, especially in Asia, he is a symbol, a gentle force in a noisy world, a man who speaks softly when others shout, a man who smiles when others posture, born from humble Filipino roots. Tagle's rise was the kind of story the church rarely sees anymore. A scholar, a pastor, a shepherd of the forgotten. He preached in slums. He hugged the broken. He kissed the hands of street children, to the poor, to the voiceless. He became their cardinal, a face they trusted, a hope they clung to in a church that sometimes forgets the ones in the shadows. He stood beside Pope Francis on the grand stages of the world, at World Youth Day, at great gatherings of the faithful, smiling, laughing, giving the church a glimpse of what many quietly prayed for, a pope from the margins. For years the whispers grew. He is the chosen one. He will be the first Asian pope. The church is preparing for him. Even journalists in Rome spoke with certainty. His name was always there, on the shortlists, in the back rooms, in the minds of the curia who secretly hoped for a bridge between the old and the new. But then came Leo XIV, the pope no one expected, the pope who walks the halls of the Apostolic Palace late into the night, alone, silent, reading the old scrolls in the secret archives when the world sleeps, a reformer, a mystic, a man whose plans remain locked behind the thick marble walls of the Vatican, hidden from even his closest aides. And then, without warning, he moved Cardinal Tagle. No grand elevation, no title shouted from the loggia, no honor soaked in incense and gold, just a quiet decree, a single line. Hidden in the pages of a Vatican bulletin no one was meant to notice. Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle will assume a new mission. That's all. No explanation, no farewell ceremony, no blessing from the window of the Apostolic Palace. and Rome went still. Even the journalist didn't know what to write. The Curia whispered, but dared not speak aloud. What was this new mission? Why would Leo XIV, a man so careful, so deliberate, move the Church's brightest star into the shadows? Why? The answer, my friend, is not simple. Because this is not politics. This is not diplomacy. This smells of something deeper, of prophecy, of ancient plans unfolding behind the crimson curtains. I have spent weeks tracing the clues, speaking with those who know, and what I discovered chills me. Luis Tagle has not been silenced. He has not been cast away. No, he has been chosen for a mission so secret, so dangerous, that even most cardinals have no idea it exists. Some say it has to do with China, that the Vatican's quiet, uneasy dealings with the East demand a man like Tagle, trusted, gentle, familiar to both worlds. Others whisper of something darker, the third secret of Fatima, the warnings of old seers, the strange gatherings late at night in the lower chambers of the Vatican Library. What was seen there? What was read by Pope Leo XIV in those forbidden texts? And why, after so many years of smiles and hope, has he sent Tagle into the deepest corridors of church power? Ask yourself, why did Tagle last appear near the entrance to the secret archives, the very place Pope Leo XIV visits when the moon is high, when the palace grows cold? Why was he seen carrying a sealed leather folder, marked not with his crest, but with the papal seal itself? This, Jan, is no demotion. This is no quiet retirement. This is preparation. For what, you ask? For something the Church has not faced in centuries. A crisis, a revelation, perhaps even a great division. Some fear that a new schism is coming, a tearing apart of the Church between East and West, between old and new, between prophecy and power. And Pope Leo XIV knows it. He knows the future of the Church may depend on a man like Tagle, a man who can walk both roads, who can speak to the old and the young, to the cardinals in Rome and the bishops in Beijing. But this mission, it is bigger than diplomacy, bigger than politics, bigger than papal elections or quiet councils in secret chambers. It smells of something ancient, of a hidden book no one talks about, of warnings passed from pope to pope, written in Latin no eye has read in generations. Why did Pope Leo XIV burn the letter in his chamber after the decree? Why did the word reformare, to reform, appear highlighted in that crumbling manuscript he held in the secret archives? What is being reformed? Or worse, who? The signs are everywhere, my friend. But no one is willing to speak, except here, with you. Because the Vatican does not move without reason, and Pope Leo XIV does not lift a hand without prayer, without purpose. Something is coming, and Cardinal Tagle is at the very center of it. But what that something is may shake the Church to its very foundation. If you can feel it too, if you believe the Church hides more than it reveals, type secret in the comments below and subscribe, because the truth is coming, and when it arrives, you will want to be the first to know. But this is only the beginning, because what Pope Leo XIV has set in motion with Luis Tagle is part of something far greater, something hidden from the eyes of the world, even from most within the Vatican itself. The question burning in every mind behind the walls of the Apostolic Palace is simple. Why him? Why Tagle? There are many cardinals, older, more politically seasoned, who could have been given this shadow mission. Men who understand the Curia's secret games. Men who have spent decades weaving alliances, knowing which strings to pull. But Pope Leo XIV chose the gentle cardinal from Manila. A man who once washed the feet of beggars instead of courting power. A man who laughs with street children rather than whispers in marble halls. Why? Because this mission, my friend, is not about power. It's about survival. The survival of the Church itself. Sources, quiet ones, hidden behind layers of secrecy, have whispered of ancient prophecies buried deep in the Vatican archives. Warnings written by long-dead popes, dreams recorded by saints, a vision of a coming trial, a storm the Church cannot escape. Some call it the Great Reform. Others, something far darker, the Great Purge. A time when the Church will either shatter under its own weight or be remade by fire. And who stands at the crossroads of this dangerous future? Luis Tagle. Because only a man untainted by Rome's endless games, only a man of true humility, can be trusted to carry this secret burden. But what is the burden? What is this new mission the Pope has handed him in the dark? Is it about the Church's uneasy deals with China, where underground Catholics still pray in fear, where bishops are named not by Rome, but by the state? Maybe. Or is it tied to the third secret of Fatima, the last chilling vision of Our Lady that was sealed away for decades, said to speak of betrayal, blood, and ruin within the Church itself? Perhaps. But there is something else, something no one dares mention aloud. It concerns a document, one that has not seen the light of day since the reign of Pius XIV, a secret text hidden within the Apostolic Library, known only by the name Concilium Ultimum, the final plan. A plan said to have been written centuries ago by the hands of the most mystic popes, in case the Church should ever face complete collapse. A plan to save the faith or rebuild it from the ashes. And who would need to carry out such a plan? A man like Tagle, a man the world trusts, a man no one would suspect. That is why Pope Leo XIV moved him, not to punish, not to promote, but to prepare him for what may be the greatest test the Catholic Church has faced since the days of Peter himself. Already the signs are breaking the surface. A Vatican diplomat spotted boarding a plane to Beijing in the dead of night. Without announcement, a secret meeting between Eastern patriarchs and Roman envoys in Istanbul, behind locked doors. A strange package delivered to the Vatican museums, marked only with an ancient Chi-Rho symbol. Coincidence? No. The old machinery of prophecy and destiny is turning, and at the very center stands a quiet man from Manila. A cardinal the world forgot in their search for kings, but whom Pope Leo XIV sees as the key to the Church's future, or its doom. You must ask yourself now, what would you do if you were entrusted with a secret that could change the faith of 2 billion souls? Would you speak, or would you remain silent until the time was right? Luis Tagle has made his choice, and Pope Leo XIV has made his. But what will be the cost, my friend? This is why the world is quiet. This is why the news barely spoke of his transfer, because they do not know. But now you do. And the question remains, is this the beginning of the Church's greatest renewal, or its final reckoning? Pope Leo XIV moves in silence. Luis Tagle walks the hidden path. And we are left to wonder what fate waits in the dark. But make no mistake, change is coming. A change no one can stop. Not the cardinals, not the curia, not the old powers clinging to the past. The storm has already begun, and you, my friend, have heard its first whisper. Who truly holds the strings of Vatican power? And why Pope Leo XIV may be preparing for a prophecy no pope has ever dared fulfill. Truth is coming, and you will be ready. But listen closely, my friend, because this mystery runs deeper than anyone dares to speak. Luis Tagle's new mission is not some quiet diplomatic errand. It's not about office or rank. It's about the soul of the Church itself, because something has been discovered. In the deepest vault beneath the Vatican Library, below the secret archives where only the Pope holds the key, a document was unearthed. A parchment, old, fragile, bound in leather blackened by centuries. The writing, faded Latin, barely readable even to the sharpest scholars, but the title could still be made out, Ex Purificatione Ecclesiae, on the purification of the Church. A text rumored in Vatican legend for over 500 years. Some said it was myth, a ghost story for young seminarians who whispered in the dormitories of the pontifical colleges. But it is real, and now, according to whispers from those who have seen it, Pope Leo XIV has read every word, and so has Luis Tagle. What did they read? A prophecy, of scandal, of betrayal, of the fall of a prince of the church, of a trial so fierce that even the stones of St. Peter's Basilica would tremble, but also of a cleansing, a burning away of all that has made the church sick, its greed, its pride, its hunger for power instead of God. And at the center of that fire stands the man chosen to guide it, Tagle, not because he is strong like the old European princes, not because he wields wealth or influence, but because he is pure. The kind of purity the ancient text said the church would need if it were ever to survive the great testing. My friend, the testing has begun. Have you noticed the signs? Cardinals retiring early, without reason. Sudden deaths among Vatican diplomats dismissed as illness. The strange blackout in the Sistine Chapel last month, when the cameras mysteriously failed for 7 minutes during a private Curia gathering. And then there is the whisper of a list that Pope Leo XIV himself has sealed in his private study, a list of names, men who will not survive the reform, men whose secrets, if revealed, could break the spine of the church. Only 2 living souls have seen this list, Pope Leo XIV and Louis Tagle. Why was he shown? Because he has been given the impossible task to confront them, to warn them, or, if necessary, to remove them, peacefully, quietly, without scandal. But if they resist, then the great purification begins, a purge that the old parchment calls judicium intimum, the inner judgment. Not for the world to see, for God alone. A cleansing fire in the silence of confessionals and cloisters, and the man chosen to carry that flame is the gentle cardinal from Manila, Louis Tagle. Imagine the weight on his shoulders to decide who will stay, who will fall, who will burn away with the old order. No man should carry such a burden. But Pope Leo XIV, who prays alone at night, who writes in journals no one else will ever read, believes that only Tagle can do this. Only Tagle, untouched by Rome's corruption, could be trusted to cut away the rot. This is why they moved him, not to sideline him, but to prepare him for a quiet war. A war no newspaper will ever report. A war that will decide the fate of the church for the next 1,000 years. And as you listen to these words, that war has already begun. Some cardinals suspect, a few whisper behind stone walls, but most remain blind. They do not see the reform coming. They do not see the judgment approaching like a slow storm over the Tiber. But Pope Leo XIV sees it, and so does Tagle. And now, so do you. My friend, when the day comes, when the Vatican bells toll for an unexpected resignation, or a sudden death is quietly announced, you will remember this moment because the truth has already begun to rise, and what is coming cannot be stopped. A reckoning, a purification, a rebirth, or ruin. The fate of the church trembles in the balance, and at its heart stands a quiet man from the Philippines, carrying a fire no one else dared to touch. But wait, there is something else, something no one in Rome dares speak aloud. Because this secret, this hidden truth behind Pope Leo XIV's strange, quiet move goes deeper than Cardinal Tagle. Much deeper. It reaches into the forbidden chapters of Vatican history, to an old prophecy almost erased from memory. The Prophet of the Seven Hills, a scroll so ancient, so dangerous that it was hidden away beneath the catacombs, locked behind iron for centuries. But now, it has been read again, by Leo XIV, by Tagle, and perhaps by one more, a third figure, whose name has appeared in quiet whispers among the Curia, a name spoken only in fear, only in confession. The Grey Cardinal, not a man seen in public, not a man photographed or celebrated, but the shadow behind the throne, the secret advisor, the keeper of forgotten oaths. Some say he is old, very old, older than the young priests realize. A Jesuit, or a Benedictine, or something else entirely. His name, no one will say, but his presence is felt. He was seen, briefly, leaving the apostolic palace the night after Tagle's appointment. A flicker of a robe in the darkness, A glance through a narrow window in the Vatican library, and always the same mark. A ring. An old silver ring with the image of the crossed keys and the number 3 engraved upon it. The third key, the ancient symbol of the Church's final safeguard. What does it mean? Some believe this gray cardinal holds the last part of the prophecy, the part never published, the part that warns of the Great Silence, a time when the Pope must choose between saving the Church's soul or its body, to preserve its purity or its power. And this is the choice Pope Leo XIV now faces. Because there is another rumor, whispered by the oldest priests of the Curia, men who served John Paul II, who heard the dying warnings of Benedict XVI, that there are 2 plans locked away in the secret archives. One called the Concilium Ultimum, the final plan, a path of total reform, a path of fire, and the other, the Scriptum Obscurum, the dark plan, a path of concealment, of silence, of preserving the Church's power, even if its soul is lost. And the Grey Cardinal, they say, holds the key to the second plan. Leo XIV holds the first. And Tagle? He is caught between them. 2 paths, 2 futures, 1 church. Which path will be taken? No one knows, not yet. But the signs are multiplying. The sudden disappearance of the Vatican Auditor General, the unannounced midnight meeting in the gardens of Castel Gandolfo, the quiet transfer of gold, yes, gold, from the Vatican Bank to an undisclosed location in Eastern Europe. Preparation for something, but what? A schism? A revelation that will shock the world? Or the quiet coronation of a new power behind the throne? You feel it, don't you? The air has changed. The faces on the balconies of St. Peter's are nervous. The guards at the bronze door glance over their shoulders. Even the tourists in the square sense that something old is waking. Because this is no ordinary papal game. This is the quiet beginning of the great trial, a test that will break either the Church or the world. And you, my friend, you were never meant to know this, but now you do. You know what they will not print in the newspapers, what no bishop will dare speak from the pulpit, what no Catholic journalist will write in glossy columns. That the war for the soul of the Church has already begun. Pope Leo XIV knows, Louis Tagle knows, and the Grey Cardinal watches. So choose now. Do you believe the Church is still in control, or do you feel the storm coming? Type secret in the comments if you know the truth runs deeper than they admit. And subscribe, because soon, very soon, the silence will break. And when the great secret is revealed, when the world finally sees what the Vatican has hidden for centuries, you must be ready, because this is not just a story about cardinals and popes. It is about you, your faith, your future, your soul. The greatest trial of the Church is at hand, and the next name whispered in the Sistine Chapel may change history forever. Stay awake, my friend. Truth is coming.